Hello, everybody. Continuing the 2022 series, I'm talking about Rahu Ketu today, what they are doing in 2022. The importance of Rahu Ketu is that they give us the information where the eclipses are taking place. A lot is happening to Rahu Ketu in 2022. They change signs from Taurus Scorpio to Aries Libra. They also are creating a Kal Sarpa Yoga. They are going to cause eclipses. So let us explore. Hello, I'm Komilla Sutton, and we are talking Rahu Ketu in 2022. Do remember to subscribe, press the bell notification. Also, the Saturn conference that I'm doing 5th to 8th of February online with international speakers and many interesting topics about Saturn. Everything you want to know is covered. And the early bird is 31st of December. So book now for the best deal. And I look forward to seeing you there. Information is on my website, komilla.com. And all the details are there from 5th to 8th February 2022. So what about Rahu Ketu? Rahu Ketu are shadow planets. They are secretive. However, their impact is very powerful because they are manifested energies. Like the other planets, even though they are secret, they are manifested energies. Usually when we study Rahu Ketu, we look at the transit of Rahu Ketu in three important ways. One is what signs they are in. So this year, 2022, they begin with Rahu being in Taurus and Ketu in Scorpio. And then on 12th of April, Rahu moves to Aries and Ketu in Libra. So if you have planets placed under Rahu, where Rahu is transiting or where Ketu is transiting, then those transits are going to experience the Rahu Ketu impact. Because they are exactly opposite each other, sometimes they are impacting two houses in your chart and two planets also, or multiple planets, because they are opposite and affecting two houses. No other planet can do that. And of course, we look at the transit, but we are also studying exactly where the eclipses are taking place. And then with the eclipses, if you have planets close to the eclipse, especially your ascendant, your moon sign, your sun sign, if they are close to the eclipses, that means that this is a year for transformation and change. Firstly, let us just explore Rahu Ketu. Rahu is in Taurus, Ketu is in Scorpio as we begin 2022. Rahu is exalted, Ketu is exalted. So they are powerful, but powerful to do what? Generally, by transit, Ketu is more difficult to handle. And so if you have planets in early part of Scorpio, because Rahu Ketu move backward. So they are moving early part of Scorpio. That means if you have planets there, then Ketu is going to transit over them and he can create disturbance in that area. The Taurus Scorpio eclipses are over now. We don't have any more eclipses in that area. So whatever the eclipses had to do, they have already revealed their hand and you know about them. Then from 12th of April to the end of 2022, Rahu moves into Aries and Ketu goes into Libra. Now, for Rahu specifically, Aries is his last sign because Rahu's journey because of retrograde journey, began in Pisces and it went throughout backward, and it has come to Aries. So Rahu can also bring some wisdom in Aries because it understands something special in Aries that we can deal with and we can process, and we won't know just now what we are understanding because Rahu is shadowy, so he will explore later and tell later on what his reasoning is or what we understand. But at this year, we are just getting Rahu in Aries. It's not ending Aries in 2022. And Ketu will be in Libra. So again, Ketu and Rahu both come in at 30 degrees and then they go backwards, and then, they will be moving backwards throughout the year. So if you have planets sort of late degrees of Aries or Libra, then Rahu Ketu are bringing their impact on them. They are creating issues about them. I'll talk more about them as the year unfolds, but this is kind of the global view for you to know. And of course, as I said, Ketu impact is the one that is more powerful and more difficult to handle. So if you have anything in Libra, including your ascendant, any planets, normally Ketu's impact is when it is exact by degree. And so we have to kind of know that astrology, what is the exact time. But overall, Aries, Libra are going to experience the eclipses and they're going to experience the unsettled energy as well. So what about the eclipses in 2022? Generally, we have 4 eclipses every year, 2 solar eclipses, 2 lunar eclipses. The eclipses come together. We first have a solar, then we have a lunar. That's the right order to have the eclipses. And in 2022, we have the right order. 2021, we first got the lunar eclipse, then the solar eclipse. What happens is if you get the lunar eclipse first, your emotions are very heightened, and then suddenly the solar eclipse comes and it burdens the emotions. Whereas with the solar eclipse, the sun is eclipsed and then the moon gets eclipsed after that. It's a better order. The first eclipse we are going to experience is the eclipse in Aries on 30th of April. This eclipse is not visible in most of the world. It is visible in Antarctica. And 2021 eclipses were also visible Arctic, Antarctic. So I think that one of the things these eclipses are kind of warning us about global warming and how the ice glaciers are melting. We know that, but the eclipses are kind of subtly warning us. And so that is the area where the eclipse, so that means it's not really visible. It is a partial eclipse. However, you should make this date in your diary because eclipses are emotionally funny. I find I've been dealing with them. I know them, but I still, emotionally you feel very unsettled during that time. And knowing that it's an eclipse time is very helpful, whether it is impacting you or not. So this eclipse is around 15 degrees of Aries. So this is the first eclipse on Aries. This is followed by a lunar eclipse on 15th, 16th of May. This is a Sankranti eclipse, and the eclipse is going to be a lunar eclipse. So lunar eclipse always more emotional and sensitive, and it is around 30 degrees of Libra, the eclipse. So to watch for that. And then the next set of eclipses take place exactly opposite that time. And there will be another partial solar eclipse. First solar eclipse for now in Libra is on 25th of October. It is a partial eclipse. It is visible in quite a lot of the world. I will be making separate eclipse videos nearer the time to give you a bigger picture. Right now, it's important for you to understand that these eclipses are there And in Libra, the eclipse is on 25th of October, and therefore the eclipse is approximately about 10 degrees of Libra. And if you have planets placed around there, then you are experiencing the eclipse. One interesting point about the eclipse is that the eclipse degree is not Rahu Ketu degree. It is the degree of where the sun and the moon are. And the solar eclipse is always a new moon eclipse. And it is partial because Rahu Ketu are quite a bit distance from sun and new moon. So that is why we have a partial eclipse instead of a full eclipse. And this is followed by a lunar eclipse on 8th of November in Aries. And this is the first lunar eclipse in Aries. It's more later Aries, the eclipse going to take place around 25 degrees or so. We'll talk about them exact, precise degrees and all later on when they're nearer the time. But important to remember is that these are unsettled time. I usually like to call it an eclipse season. From solar to lunar eclipse, that time is vulnerable, difficult. Usually I try to avoid doing things, and I advise also that you should take care and not rush into doing things at that time, because the eclipses are creating an upheaval, emotional, also physical, because they are manifested energy, so they can create difficulty. Now, the biggest aspect of 2022 are the Kal Sarpa Yogas that are happening. So we already started the Kal Sarpa Yoga in December 2021. And Kal Sarpa Yoga happens when all the planets are hemmed in between Rahu Ketu. So that means that one side of the zodiac is empty and all the planets are on the one side. So it means Rahu Ketu are totally controlling the planets. And it's not as rare as one thinks, because whenever Jupiter and Saturn go one side of Rahu Ketu, that means they are setting up conditions for a Kal Sarpa Yoga, because the other planets are faster moving planets and they will come into that side, and therefore they will remain there. Kal Sarpa Yoga started on 14th of December with the Mars Ketu conjunction in 2021 and is there till April 2022. And in April, Venus cuts and then other planets will move away. The faster moving planets cut the Kal Sarpa Yoga. Now, all the details are on my website for these Kal Sarpa Yoga dates. You can go onto komilla.com, planetary news. And in the planetary news, I've given all the details and the days, because these Kal Sarpa Yogas are imbalanced energies. Usually we look at them for world events, not for so much for personal events, but in our life also, because all the planets are gathered one side of Rahu Ketu, there's an imbalance. And then what happens is that every 2 weeks or so, moon comes out of it. Then moon is breaking the Kal Sarpa Yoga and creating a Kemadruma Yoga. And therefore, for about 15 days, sometimes a bit less than that, moon is isolated. Moon is one side and the other planets are hemmed in by Rahu Ketu. Therefore, our mind, our emotions become very important to manage them, to deal with them during this time. So this is why it's important for you to look at all the dates on my website, because I have given them in detail, and the Kal Sarpa dates. But we are having it intermittently. Kal Sarpa Yoga followed by Kemadruma Yoga, followed by Kal Sarpa Yoga. Therefore, what is our responsibility during this time? Our responsibility is that we are trying to keep our life in balance. We are trying to be aware that it is easy to imbalance ourselves. So therefore, when making decisions, doing action in life, we are constantly aware that we are trying to not create disturbance for us. You see, this is a aspect that is happening, and it is for almost 4 or 5 months. So we can't stop our lives. So we have to just understand is on intermittently from 14th December 21 right up to 24th of April 2022. All the details are on my website under planetary news. You could actually sign up for it as well, then you'll get it every month. But under the December planetary news, and I'll be keeping on leaving that information there so that you can access it. Let us look at the conjunctions. During every year, Mars conjoins with either Rahu or Ketu. And, the other faster moving planets, that means Sun, Venus, and Mercury, they will have a conjunction with Rahu and with Ketu as well, but they're opposite ends of the year. So normally the Mars conjunction is always difficult, so we have to watch for that. But other conjunctions can be volatile. We just have them as an awareness date. Now, the Sun conjunction doesn't necessarily mean that it's an eclipse day, the day Sun conjoins with Rahu or Ketu, but we need to watch for that. So there is no conjunction with Rahu or Ketu during Taurus Scorpio axis. All the conjunctions were done last year, 2021, and in 2022, the first conjunction is with Mercury on 23rd of April. This is going to be with Rahu, and Mercury Rahu in Aries. It's just a disturbed day, so especially if you're Gemini Virgo, you watch out, but others also just do as an unsettled day. Then on 13th of May, there is a Sun Rahu conjunction in Aries. Sun is exalted, Rahu is Aries. Rahu can aggravate, especially those in power and strong people, but Sun can just generally be unsettled, and it is just immediately followed by a lunar eclipse. So we are watching that conjunction more carefully. And then on 14th of June, there's a Rahu-Venus conjunction. Again, it's unsettled. If you're Taurus or Libra, then this is an important conjunction for you. But mostly with the benefics, Mercury as well as Venus, Rahu benefits from those conjunctions because they are calming Rahu down. Whereas the planets themselves, they get disturbed by Rahu because Rahu is shadowy, unsettled energy. And then the big one of Rahu conjunction of the year is Mars Rahu on 1st of August. I already talked about that in my Mars video, so do watch that. But Mars Rahu, it's quite volatile. Every time Mars Rahu happens, it's about every year and a half or so. Mars gets aggravated. It can be come out as anger, as frustration, as irritation. It can also come out as violence. So be careful about that. And those are the only Rahu conjunctions. On a monthly basis, Moon will conjoin with Rahu. So we just watch for that. That is one day, that Moon Rahu conjunction every month. That is more unsettling emotionally, but doesn't last very long. So I'm not exploring those dates as yet. Conjunctions with Ketu, much more difficult. There is no Mars conjunction with Ketu this year, but all the conjunctions are in early part of November, and that is also during that eclipse time. Venus conjunction is on 2nd of November, Sun conjunction is 5th, and Mercury is 6. So because there's all these conjunctions happening alongside with the eclipse, I would say we have to be extra cautious. Ketu is more troublesome for us to deal with whenever the conjunction is happening. So Venus means Taurus, Libra, need to watch out. Sun means Leo, and Mercury conjunction is Gemini, Virgo. But all of us really keep a life simple around the eclipse time. During 2022, Rahu Ketu are going to go through different nakshatras. Now, what is interesting is that Rahu is obviously in Taurus, Aries. It has its own set of nakshatras and different times when Rahu is changing. So Rahu in 2022 only travels 2 nakshatras. It is in Krittika as we start the year. I did make a video about Rahu in Krittika. And in June, Rahu goes into Bharani Nakshatra. So Krittika is a very fiery nakshatra, and Rahu wants very much innovation, intelligence. He's inimical to the sun, the ruler, but it is quite a powerful transit, I would say, during the Krittika transit. On 13th June, Rahu goes into Bharani Nakshatra. And Bharani is, sign of transformation, death. And for Rahu, this is a penultimate nakshatra because Rahu is retrograde. So he begins his journey in Revati and retrogrades back to Aries, and Bharani is the second nakshatra if we start with Ashwini, but 26th if we go backwards. So in the Bharani, it's about discipline, transformation, understanding about life. So there is some knowledge dawning on all of us. I feel on a positive level, some wisdom, some understanding about the karmic role of our life, what we have inherited, how we are going to deal with it. And the ruler of Bharani is Venus, which is the guru of the demons. So Rahu is listening to that knowledge and understanding. But I would say that we all will benefit from discipline, organization, yam niyam, do's and don'ts. Spiritual do's and don'ts, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, how much we can stretch ourselves, what we can't do, and that would be the best thing to do. Ketu Nakshatras. Ketu is going to be in Anuradha till 8th of February. Rest of the year, he's going to be in Vishakha, first in Scorpio Vishakha till 13th April, and after that it will go into Libra Vishakha. And Ketu will be in Libra Vishakha up to 17th of October 2022, and then it will retrograde back to Swati Vishakha till the end of the year. So I'll be making separate videos about Ketu's journey in Vishakha as well as Swati. So talk more about it. Basically, Ketu is in Libra mostly. So it's a sign of relationship. So that is where some karmic issues can come up for us. And we have to work with that energy. I think it is important to understand that with each nakshatra, there are different aspects that get activated during this larger transit between Taurus, Scorpio, and then Aries, Libra. So that is it for today. I will be now talking about how 2022 affects you in the next video. And do remember to subscribe. Also leave me some comments. Thank you very much.